In this lesson, you will explore the concept of accessing financial aid to fund college education. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to discuss types of financial aid from government and educational institutions, describe the process of applying for federal aid via the FAFSA application, and understand private sources of aid. In the educational video entitled Funding for Education, Savings Strategies, you learned that analyzing the educational funding need is a logical process based on the amount of time until the start of the schooling, the projected future cost of education, the projected earning rate on savings, and the parent's contribution goal. A systematic savings program can be planned. With time on one side, the benefit from time value of money, that's compounding, can take place. However, when parents have been unable to save required resources and the time horizon until the start of college is short, students will need to consider accessing financial aid. Generally, some form of financial aid will be available. The major unknowns is the source of that financial aid and the cost of that aid. Sources of financial aid include the federal and state governments, educational institutions, private institutions or a business, and individuals. As listed on this slide, there are many types of financial aid, including grants, loans, work-study programs, scholarships, fellowships, private loans, tuition assistance, and employer benefits. In this lesson, we will explore these items. In order to be eligible for federal financial aid consideration, the applicant must satisfy the following: be a U.S. citizen or a U.S. national, or hold a green card, have earned a high school diploma or completed the GED, enrolled or accepted into an eligible degree or certification program. If a male, then the applicant must have registered with the Selective Service. The student has to have a Social Security number, although there are some exceptions. If enrolled, the student must maintain satisfactory progress through the school. Filled out a FAFSA and sign the FAFSA verifying the financial aid will be used for school and that he or she is not in default with outstanding federal loans. The federal aid website is a wonderful source of information about funding college education. On this site, you'll find information about preparing for college, types of aid, who qualifies for access to aid, the FAFSA form, and how to repay federal student loan debt. The federal student aid website can be accessed at https://studentaid.ed.gov/SA/. The FAFSA form is rather lengthy and needs to be completed each and every year that the student is enrolled full-time at the school. Based on the FAFSA questionnaire responses, a determination is made regarding about what type of federal aid is available. A key concept that impacts the type of aid is the expected family contribution, and we'll take a look at this concept shortly. The FAFSA start page can be accessed directly at http://www.fafsa.ed.gov. There are 4 sections to the FAFSA form: student status, family status, the parent's financial situation, and the student's financial situation. Student information includes personal information, the college enrollment details, marriage status, and dependency status, and high school graduation information. The parent information section asked about personal information, household size, and number of children in college. The two sections about financial situation ask questions about incomes and assets. The financial aid calculation reflects the cost of attendance, including tuition and fees, room and board, books, travel, and insurance, less the amount that the family is expected to contribute towards the child's education. The expected family contribution, or the EFC, reflects a percentage of the parent's income and net worth and a percentage of the child's income and net worth. The percentages vary depending on such issues as household size, number of children in college, and dependency status. However, it's safe to say that the percentages that go into the EFC are higher for the child than the parent. Two major categories of federal aid are grants and loans. Grants are forms of federal assistance that do not have to be repaid. They are awarded based on extreme financial need. On the other hand, federal loans are expected to be repaid. The repayment schedules and terms of the loans differ based on the degree of financial need. Let's take a look at different types of federal grants and loans. The federal Pell Grant is one such federal aid program. It assists undergraduate students or those enrolled in a postgraduate teaching certificate program on a financial need basis. The amount of the grant depends on several factors, such as full-time versus part-time status, the amount of the expected family contribution, and the cost of attendance at the school. The maximum Pell Grant is currently about $6,000, although there are some higher awards for students whose parents or guardian died while serving overseas. The maximum amount generally increases by a small amount annually. The Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant is another federal grant. This grant is awarded only to undergraduate students with exceptional need. The college receives grant money from the government, administers the program, and awards the grant on a needs based among its student body. The maximum FSEOG grant is currently about $4,000 per year. Note that in addition to the federal Pell and the FSEOG, there are grants available that are based on merit. There are two categories of federal loans: subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. Federal loans for undergraduate students with financial need are subsidized. Subsidized means that the student does not have to pay any interest on the loan until after graduation. The Department of Education subsidizes the interest payments until which time the student starts interest payments shortly after graduation. Loans that are not subsidized accrue interest through the school period. Once the student graduates, he or she makes payments for the loan, current interest, and the accrued interest. Three types of federal student loans are the Perkins loan, the subsidized Stafford loan, and the unsubsidized Stafford loan. The government also offers an unsubsidized plus loan to graduate students, professional students, or parents of dependent undergraduate students. The Perkins loan is a subsidized form of aid to undergraduate and graduate students that show exceptional financial need. As already discussed, need is a function of income, and resources are compared to the cost of attending school. This low-cost loan is available to both full and part-time students with exceptional financial need. Student interest payments don't start until 9 months after graduation. The Department of Education pays the interest until then. There are annual loan limits and the total loan cap for all years of schooling based on undergraduate or graduate status. The Perkins loans are managed through the school. The Stafford Federal Loan Program offers loans to both undergraduate and graduate students. The subsidized Stafford loans is available to undergraduate students with financial need. Repayment of this loan does not start until 6 months after graduation. The unsubsidized Stafford loan is available to undergraduate and graduate students. There is no grace period for interest payments. However, loan payments are deferred until after graduation. If no payments are made, then interest accrued during that period. Note that the interest rates for the unsubsidized Stafford loans are typically higher than for the subsidized loans. The school uses the FAFSA application to determine the maximum annual loan amount on both types of Stafford loans. The Federal Direct Plus loans, or PLUS loans, are available to graduate students, professional students, and the parents of dependent undergraduate and graduate students. Need is not an issue in this case. The independent student or parent with the dependent student is able to borrow up to 100% of the cost of the education, less any monies received by the student. The loan interest rate varies on this financial aid package, although the rate is typically higher than for the Stafford loans. There is no grace period on interest payments, and payments are not deferred until after graduation. Payments begin at the time the loan is taken out. Work Study is a program that provides part-time employment to college students so that they can meet their educational expenses. This campus-based program is administered by the individual school. Federal Work Study is based on financial need and awarded as part of the FAFSA aid package. Students engaged in federal work study typically work 10 to 15 hours per week. A portion of the student's hourly fee is paid by the federal government. Many schools offer their own work study programs. Eligibility for the school's work study program may or may not be dependent on financial need. Note that work study earnings are considered taxable income to the student. There are various sources of scholarships, including universities and colleges, community organizations, religious groups, nonprofits, and professional organizations, private companies, and social groups. Scholarship money is considered tax-free for federal income tax purposes if the recipient is currently pursuing a degree at a qualified educational institution. The funds are used to pay for qualified educational expenses, and the student is not expected to work in exchange for the scholarship award. Other sources of educational funds are home equity loans, home equity lines of credit, private educational loans, the borrowing from the cash value of life insurance, and IRA withdrawals for qualified educational expenses. Note, the IRS provides gift tax exclusion for direct payments of tuition and fees to qualified educational institutions. In this lesson, you learned about sources and types of financial aid and the FAFSA application process.